Overnight, the Nobel Committee over there in Oslo, Norway, made the big announcement about the Nobel Peace Prize. It's a prize that's given by the guy who invented dynamite, by the way. So let's just keep that in mind. And, well, the headlines were pretty clear and unequivocal about the incredible person who got this Nobel Peace Prize. Take a look at how Time Magazine reported it. This is huge, everybody. Trump loses Nobel Peace Prize. That's their headline. Not even anything about the person who won it. Trump loses Nobel Peace Prize he shamelessly campaigned for. Who did win it? Well, this woman out of Venezuela. She actually seems like a pretty worthy recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. It's Maria Corina Machado for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for herself. Oh, let's not read what Nobel said about it. Let's read what this guy said about her. Donald Trump. In fact, Donald Trump was praising this woman earlier this year, back in January. Venezuelan democracy activist Maria Corina Machado and President-elect Gonzalez are peacefully expressing the voices and the will of the Venezuelan people, with hundreds of thousands of people demonstrating against the regime. The great Venezuelan American community in the United States overwhelmingly support a free Venezuela and strongly supported me. These freedoms fighters should not be harmed and must stay safe and alive. That's an endorsement from Donald Trump in January about the great work this woman was doing. And in turn, look at this. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado took to the X platform, said this recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task to conquer freedom. We are on the threshold of victory, and today more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the peoples of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. She dedicated the prize partially to President Donald Trump. How to make sense of any of this? Let's bring in our buddy Chris Stigall. Of course, he's the morning radio man on the Salem Radio Network and on the Salem News Channel. And well, really, he's a lion among men. Christopher, good afternoon. Good to talk with you.
And good day, sir. You know, President Trump saluted that woman by blowing another one of those drug ships right out of the water.
Yes, that's right. Oh, Venezuela, you say? Hey, I've got an idea.
Click.
Listen, my problem with Trump and the Nobel Prize is that Trump really seems to care about the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, as long as Barack Obama got it for doing nothing, Al Gore got it for lying about SUV emissions, and for crying out loud, Yasser Arafat, a literal terrorist, got it. It's not really worth that much, is it?
No, it's not. And I also wonder, look, I don't know how it works. I mean, do they pre-print these things in advance? You know, it's kind of like you're having a big party or something, and you've gotten all the decorations and the seating for everybody. And then, I don't know, you find out that you forgot to invite someone. Do you try to squeeze them in? Right. Or have you already made arrangements? You know, like, I don't know, maybe would the Nobel people have... If the peace accord that Trump had struck had happened a couple of weeks ago, would they have changed their course? I don't
Actually know. I'm glad you asked. Our colleague here at Town Hall, Chloe Trepanato, did a little research on this. It didn't take much, actually. The deadline to nominate a person for the Nobel Peace Prize was January 31st.
Okay.
So it goes all the way up. He had been in office for 10 days. Now, I do think he solved 2 world conflicts within those 10 days, actually. Yeah. But it's not like anything that's happened over the last 9 months actually factored into any of this. And I think that's worth noting, which, by the way, makes it even that much more outrageous that they gave it to Obama back in 2009, because he had also only been in office for 10 days.
Yeah, but he was historic and black. So that's that.
Yeah.
No, Trump.
Yeah, they're not used to that in Norway. What is
this? No, listen, if he doesn't get it next January, then I think you probably have an axe to grind. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. Although, again, I don't put a lot of weight in it anyway. I mean, they're Scandinavian, they're lefties, they're motivated by left-wing politics more than anything else. So,
I mean, Greta Thunberg come out of that joint, that Nordic kind of Swedish meatball?
Yeah, they're all those countries are the same, pretty much. Yeah, they like cross-country skiing and pickled herring.
Cheeses.
Yeah. But do you think Trump, I mean, I guess Trump, it matters to him, I suppose, just because he's of a certain generation where this was the thing, right?
Well, yes, just like going on Meet the Press matters to him.
And reading the New York Times.
That's right. It frustrates the hell out of us, but he thinks that's important, and because that's what he grew up knowing. And so it's, I don't know. I think it's kind of, there are things that as much as I know late night television has changed, and we talk about that here. Maybe we're going to a little later. I long for the days that there were evening variety shows, but my 20-year-old son has absolutely no idea what that is. So it's like, I got to let it go. Right?
Funny you should say that. I had my kids watch some old reruns of the Carol Burnett show, and it blew their mind. It's like, this was on TV, like regularly? It's
like they liked it, or they were insulted by
they thought it was great, super entertaining.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if you could return to it or not. I miss it terribly. I growing up as you did, so fond of those kinds of vessels for entertainment and information, and now to see them, I don't know, now become whatever it is we're consuming now.
Yeah.
It depresses me if I think too much about it, but I think that's kind of like Trump, to the point. The New York Times, that was still the way you got your news. Meet the Press was still the way you got your news, and he wants their approval. I think he still struggles with that a little bit.
Let's channel the liberals for a second, though. Imagine you're Jake Tapper or Nick Kristof or Joe Scarborough or something. You wake up this morning, all anticipation, excited that Trump's going to lose. By the way, real fast, did you notice that every single headline about the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize had Trump's name in it?
Yeah.
It's like, that's sad. That's actually kind of pathetic. You're excited about the anticipation. You find out Trump didn't get it. And so, of course, you bend over backwards to celebrate this woman. She's incredible. She's great. Much better than Trump. She deserved it. And then what do you do now that she has actually dedicated the prize in part back to Trump? I mean, is your head exploding now? What do you do with that?
It's very similar to these Democrats who are impacted by this shutdown. I think a lot of their loved ones, their spouses, their boyfriends and girlfriends probably have ties to these government shutdowns and the money not flowing into their own households. And now it's impacting them personally. And they have to now confront Democrats and say, well, technically the Republicans are right about this clean CR. It's very similar. Like they're going to be boxed in, pushed into acknowledging reality. And I think, much like this past week, they've had to say to Democrats, why don't you just vote for the clean CR? They'll probably have to say, well, if the lady that won it thinks Trump's great, I guess we have to acknowledge it. It's hard for them to gaslight, harder than ever before.
Anybody who's angry about the shutdown has to acknowledge the fact that the Republicans are showing up every day to vote to open the government.
That's right. That's right.
We got to square that circle somehow. All right. I'm going to show you a video, and I need you to give me your impression of it. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but this is now becoming a bit of a Rorschach test here on how to interpret what this guy from the Nobel Committee said. They gave a press conference, and he was asked specifically about President Trump and about a lot of publicity that was sort of pushing for Trump to get the award. All right. Now, I want you to listen to his answer, and you tell me what your reaction is. All right. Watch.
U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize and he'd like to have it.
By the way, if I can jump in there, that's inaccurate. Trump's way too smooth for that. He hasn't said he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, Chris. He said a lot of people are saying I deserve the Nobel Peace Prize.
A lot of people are saying.
Everybody's saying it. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. But
word on the street is.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that said, let's watch the rest.
He even said that it would be an insult to the United States if he doesn't get it. What does as the chairman of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, think of this, and how has this campaign-like activity by the president and his supporters domestically and internationally affected the deliberations and the thinking in the committee?
In the long history.
All right, so real fast, because it was a little convoluted and a European accent, and my American viewers, as you know, Chris, they don't speak European. The question was, Trump's been going on a publicity campaign saying that he deserves it. Did that affect the committee in their decision, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the answer.
In the committee.
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee have seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
All right. So now you heard the answer to the question. How do you interpret what he just said? I'm curious.
It sounded like a dig there at the end that nobility and decency and whatever the hell he assigned
Courage and
the people
integrity.
in the
Yeah,
room.
that's
Courage
what
and
people are
integrity.
saying. Oh, they only give it to people with courage and integrity. That's why they didn't give it to Trump.
That's how I would probably read that. Some sort of snobby European nose in the air dig at Donald Trump. Yes.
All right. You win. See, I don't know. I was trying to extend as much, temperance to this as possible, or grace. I thought what he was saying is we all are surrounded by these laureates. It's the courage and integrity. We drown out any sort of outside interference, and we just focus on the candidates.
I could see that. I meaning you don't. I guess we'll know if you're right or not. If maybe they do the right thing and make him the winner next year. Maybe
Right,
that is what he's saying. We're just a distinguished body, and we don't let outside noise cloud our judgment. Is what you think they said.
Perhaps. Quick side question for you, if I could ask you, because, it is an extraordinary peace deal. I've never seen any kind of peace agreement in a conflict where everybody involved is happy. They were all celebrating, all sides of it, except for one group of people. Did you notice who wasn't celebrating? All of the dirtbag pro-Hamas terrorist protesters in the streets of London and the streets of New York, on the campus of Columbia. They were silent. If the actual people who live in Gaza were celebrating, why weren't those people celebrating when this peace deal came in?
Well, there was one podcaster, and I just saw a clip of her a little while ago, who said, our children's children will be cursed if we set foot on Palestinian land and enjoy ourselves and build a hotel and have.
Wow.
I mean, there's an element out there that's supposedly on our side that's pretending they're not happy about it and going after Trump. This has been one of the more confounding periods of my career. I don't know about you, but it's one thing to look at the left, quite another to see some on our side, whatever you want to deem that, conservatism or whatever. I don't know, go at Trump now for getting involved in this. And by the way, it's not lost on me, and I don't think you or most of us, that it's not as though he's doing this unilaterally with two parties. He's brought in all of those surrounding moderate Arab cultures and countries that have signed off on it too. It's a masterpiece. I mean, nobody's ever done this before.
Right. No, I know. It's confounding to me too. I try to write it off, the people who are supposedly on the right who are also complaining about this, that they're chasing clicks, I suppose, and knowing that there's a very passionate audience out there who will continue to come back for that kind of content. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But when you strike a peace deal between Hamas and Israel, and all of the people on the street are celebrating, and Qatar is celebrating, and Saudi Arabia is celebrating, and Egypt is participating, it's like, maybe you've done something pretty amazing here.
Yes. And I just read something this morning, and it just came through my email box as a breaking news bit that I didn't exactly know what it meant, and maybe you can help me, but it makes me wonder if, in fact, this wasn't part of the reason this all went down. Hegseth announces new Qatari Air Force facility in Idaho following partnership in Gaza peace deal.
Fascinating.
Qatari Air Force facility in Idaho, Hegseth announces this morning. So this leads me to believe, with Marco Rubio and Hegseth and others, there was so much more obviously going on in conversation than we ever knew to get to this day.
It's almost like Dana Bash isn't really as plugged in as she acts. By the way, speaking of divergent views and divergent praises coming from strange corners of the planet about President Trump and his efforts, take a look at this guy's opinion on who should have won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Это не мне решать, кому присуждать Нобелевскую премию. Во-первых, мне кажется, и вряд ли кто-нибудь из вас или из ваших зрителей и слушателей будет возражать. Вряд ли. Сейчас скажу, что имею в виду. Были случаи, когда комитет этот присуждал Нобелевскую премию мира людям, которые для мира ничего не сделали. И, на мой взгляд, этими решениями они нанесли огромный ущерб авторитету этой премии. Человек пришел, хороший, плохой, ему сразу там через месяц, через два, бум, за что? Да вообще ничего не сделал. ну, разве так работают? Это же за заслуги за какие-то нужны. Ну, и поэтому авторитет, мне кажется, он в значительной степени утрачен. Но бог с ним, не мне судить, но достоин ли недостоин действующий президент США Нобелевской премии, я не знаю. Но он реально много делает для того, чтобы разрешить такие сложные, десятилетиями длящиеся, годами, а то и десятилетиями длящиеся кризисы. И уже я говорил точно, я знаю по отношению к кризису на Украине, он искренне стремится к этому. Чего-то там удалось, чего-то не удалось. Может быть, еще нам многое удастся сделать на основе договоренностей и обсуждений в Анкоридже. Но уж он точно старается, точно работает над этими вопросами достижения мира и разрешения сложных международных ситуаций. Вот самый...
So when Vladimir Putin says you deserve to win the Nobel Peace Prize, or probably you were more deserving than other people, and the Nobel Peace Prize has now lost its credibility, does that help?
Right.
Does it help? Yeah, I love the fact that he says he's trying to solve the Ukraine situation. Oh, no. Tell me more. What do you mean by Ukraine situation? You mean the situation you created when you plowed your tanks across the border and started slaughtering innocent people? Is that what you're talking about with the Ukraine situation?
Yeah, that's right. And I happen to know, as you do too, that President Trump is leaning heavily on India right now to knock off their purchases of Russian oil.
Yeah.
He's trying to squeeze Russia. So I think Putin, in his own sort of devious way, is like, hey, watch this. I'm really going to kiss up to him and make people crazy. That's what I think he does.
That's what it was. Yeah, he had to know that. You know, that's like sort of a heads I win, tails you lose situation.
Yeah. He's not happy with Trump, is he? I don't think so. I mean, they don't seem to see eye to eye with much.
Not anymore.
And of course, Trump, and we know Trump just today, he put out a lengthy post about screw China. I think I'm done talking to them. Now the markets are starting to tank. So I don't know where this, while we're talking about peace in the Middle East today, I mean, China, Russia, and India, kind of on the outs at the moment.
I guess what you're saying is, let's go, Trump. You got more work to do before you get that little prize.
Right. You've still got a few months before they consider it again.
Could he possibly sue the Nobel Committee and get some sort of settlement out of this? Just saying.
Well, maybe E. Jean Carroll kind of a thing, maybe.
Exactly. Maybe he bombs Oslo. Could do worse.
Annex it at least.
Oh, you don't think I'm here for peace? I'll show you.
Right. Build a big, beautiful hotel.
We shall see. We shall see. Like I said, I was never expecting him to win the prize. And then when you find out, based on our research, which didn't take much, to be honest, anybody in the media could have showed you this. He was only eligible as president for 10 days. So it just wasn't going to happen.
It's
but
amazing.
Are you making a prediction for next year?
Yeah, I mean, if they're serious and they're legitimate, how you could, maybe by then, of course, I mean, we've still got the rest of the year. Maybe we see something with Russia and Ukraine. Who knows? We still got a couple more months before they decide the next one. So if this sticks, it's a huge win.
All right. Thank you, sir. By the way, my Lions are playing your Chiefs this weekend. You got a prediction on
that? You've been seeing the Chiefs play lately, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
I think the Lions are the best team in football. Although the Eagles, the Super Bowl winners, just lost embarrassingly to the Giants last night. So anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Oof.
Chris DeGaulle, always good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Have a good weekend.
Behave yourself.